Welcome students. This is the fourth lecture on digital land surveying and mapping course. Today I will be discussing on global positioning system, its introduction. As I have already told in the last class that we make use of GPS for establishment of control point, and by the name itself control point you can understand that is the most important point and its location has to be very accurate. So we should be very careful in getting the location of the point, and for that we need to know thoroughly about how really GPS works, and we end up with a good control point. Good means it should be accurate. However, before going to that part, how to process the data, how to end up with a good solution for control point, we need to know first about the system. So today's class we will be talking on the system, the global positioning system. Now this class I will discuss on with this content, like first I will introduce what is GPS, a global positioning system, and then simply I will tell today about the architecture of the system. That means really what are the components of a GPS system really we are having. Now actually GPS is a name, it is the small, that means it is surname you can say. Its name is Navstar GPS. Navstar stands for Navigational Satellite for Timing and Ranging, and GPS stands for Global Positioning System. So we are actually studying the system called Navstar GPS, where Nav stands for navigation, S for satellite, T for timing, A for and R for ranging. So navigation satellite for timing and ranging, and G for global, P for positioning, S for system. So navigational satellite for timing and ranging, global positioning system. This is what we are trying to learn in this course and the first module of the course. Now it is a space based navigation system which provides us very accurate navigation, position and time. So though we are using this system for the positioning purpose, but this system is also very good for navigation, and also it is a very precise system for finding out time. However, we are concentrating much on this point to make use of GPS for finding out the position of any location or station, and specifically in this course we will be using GPS for finding out the location of our control point. Now the beauty of this system is that this system is available all throughout the world at any time in a day, any day in a year, and at least 4 satellites are available at any instant of time. So signals from at least four signals from at least 4 satellites are available at any location on the surface of the earth at any point of time, whether it is day or in the night, whether it is a sunny day or a winter or a rainy day. So that means it is an ubiquitous system, always it is available for our use, and we can make use of the same system by infinite number of people at the same instant of time. That is another important advantage or availability of this system. Not only that, this system provides us the position in a global reference system. That is also a very important point, global reference system. So whatever position we get for any point, that is in respect to some global reference system and 3D position. That means we will get the either in Cartesian system x, y, z, or in geodetic system latitude, longitude and geodetic height. So we can see that the system is easily available. Also it can provides us the position quite simply, so thus economically, and that is the reason why we are looking for this system for establishment of our control point. Now the system architecture of the system, that means really what are the components or what are the. Now the GPS system consists of 3 broad segments, that you can say the space segment, and then another is called control segment, and the user segment. Now from the name itself we can understand the space segment means it is the part of the GPS system which is available in the space, and the space segment actually consists of 2 parts. One is that the orbital part, that means there are some certain orbits around the earth along which the satellite vehicles, the other parts, satellite vehicles rotate around the earth. So the orbital part and the satellite vehicle parts are the 2 parts which constitute the space segment, and the control, that means then your control segment, actually control segment consists of some control stations and some antenna. The control station controls the activity of the GPS. This is the surface of the earth, some antenna are there, some control stations are there. So these control stations and controls the activity of the GPS satellites, and antenna is made use to receive or sending the signal to satellite vehicle, and then our user segment which is consisting of 2 parts again. One is that our GPS receiver and some software to process the data that will become. So you can say that okay, any body person, someone is using, that means aircraft nowadays use the then our airship, all those, then human being. So apart from that, actually the this all these, there are the GPS signals. Now there are two types of GPS signal, one is called L band and another is S band. Now actually the space segment get connected to control segment by S band. That means antenna in the control segment sends signal to the space segment through S band, and however it receives signals from the space segment using L band. And that means between space segment and control segment there are two-way communication is possible. From space segment to control segment it is the L band, and from control segment to it is the S band. However, the user segment only gets signal from space segment. That means user segment has no connectivity with the control segment. So it only receives signals from space segment. So that is what in short about the GPS architecture. Now in the space segment there are actually some fixed orbital lines which is designed along which the satellite vehicles move, and they design in such a way that, as I told you, GPS will be available for any person at any point at any time on the surface of the earth. At least 4 satellites or signals from 4 satellites will be available. So that is the way how the orbital path has been designed, and the spacing of the satellites were kept. So here is a figure, you can see at any point in this figure you can see that at any point on the surface of the earth that this is the orbits along which satellites shown by black or red dots, and which are revolving around the earth, and at any point on the surface of the earth the signals from satellites are coming, which is shown by red line. And if we see that at any point on the surface of the earth at any instant of time there will be at least 4 satellites that will be visible. That means signals from 4 satellites will go. Now I am finding here that signals are coming from 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 or 10, even more than that in many other places. So this is the what is the space segment. So the only part which is most important thing about this space segment with respect to user segment is that signals from at least 4 satellites should be available to us at any instant of time. And next, control segment, as I told you, control segment primarily consists of 2 parts. One is that control stations and antenna. Now control station is again of two types, master control station and monitoring station. Now master, actually there are 16 monitoring stations which are spread all over the world. In this figure you can see the monitoring station given by round dots. So these are the monitoring stations, and these are spread all over the world. And one more thing you can note down, initially the monitoring stations were near the equatorial plane, and later it has been taken up to 23rd or 30 degree latitude plus minus. Most of them are, but a few divisions are there, but mostly concentrated within this zone. So that is the advantage. There will be some advantage from design point of view which is beyond the scope of this course anyway. So monitoring stations monitors the satellites that is revolving around the earth, and they receive signals from the satellites, and then they make use of also they takes many other data from the satellites as it is written here, and those data that from monitoring station they send it to the master control station. Master control station is given by red star. Now actually there are two master control station, but of this one at Colorado, that is the main master control station, and another near California, that is subsidiary master control station. Anyway, so all these monitoring stations send the data that has been captured from the satellites revolving around and send it to the monitoring master control station. Actually whole control, most of the control has been with the master control station. Master control station, once it receives the data from monitoring station, they do make all the processing, and then they compute the location of the satellite vehicles at different instant of time. They evaluate the health of the satellite vehicle, they generate the navigation data and all other control information they generate, and once master control station generates the information, they send it to ground antenna. Now ground antenna collects, stores data from master control station, and it keeps on watching the satellites that is moving around, and whenever it tracks some satellites is moving above it, it's find out whether that satellite, for that satellite there is any information it has stored or not. If it has stored, then it conveys using the S-band signal. So that is what about the ground antennas. So ground antenna actually uploads the data to the satellite vehicles. So in that way control segment works, but that is in the background we need to know, but we don't have much to have business with the control segment as a user. For user, it is the user segment which is most important. So we need to know in detail about the user segment, and also we need to know about the signal. So in this class I will restrict up to user segment. In the next class I will go for GPS signals. Now that user segment consists of a receiver and software. Now GPS receiver, it is an electronic instrument. It has three fundamental parts. The most important, the constituents are antenna, and then controller, as well as GPS hardware. These are the three components of receiver, GPS receiver. Now depending upon the type of receiver, these components may be independent unit which has to be connected before we use, or in some cases these three components are put together, or in some cases any two of these may be composed together. So depending upon what receiver we use. Now in this case you can see the three components are independent. This is the antenna which has been placed on a tripod stand, and this is the control point or station on which we want to take the GPS data. This is the part which is the controller, and this is the part which is the GPS receiver hardware. So, and there is a connection between receiver with the antenna, and there is a connectivity between the controller and the receiver. So, and in this the antenna actually receives the GPS signal which it conveys through this connection to the receiver. Now the antenna will receive the data from GPS receiver. As per the guideline, it receives from controller through receiver, and also controller has connectivity with the receiver, and receiver also receives the signal from antenna as per the instruction it gets from the controller. So controller actually a part of the instrument which controls whole activity of the GPS receiver. And now here and one more thing, these activities the controller does making use of software. So there lies the use of software. Now in this flow diagram it is shown how the different parts of the GPS receiver works together. You can see here, this is the antenna, this is the receiver, this is the controller. Now antenna is connected with the receiver, and also antenna is connected with the controller. So as we may, and all these are having the power, and this is the part which I am taking as the GPS data receiver hardware, and this is the part which is related to GPS data collection and software. Now as we make the power on, so after all the parts get connected, if we make the power on, controller will provide some instruction to antenna, and as per the instruction of the controller, antenna will receive signal from satellites. Once it receives the signal from the GPS satellites, it will send the signal to the receiver, and receiver will receive the signal as per the instruction given by the controller. So controller is controlling not only the reception of the antenna from GPS satellite, but also the reception of the signal from antenna to receiver. Now within this receiver there are software which it uses to receive the signal from antenna, as well as it processes the data, and the data processed has to be stored within the receiver, or it will convey to the controller depending upon what the controller instructed. Now you can see here the input output unit. Controller is also having the input output unit through which it provides input or it gets the output, takes out the output. There is a display unit in the controller. There is a field software which processes the data also, and real time processing software. Now controller, once it receives data from receiver, or it can directly tell to take out the observation data. Now this data may be stored either in the receiver or in the controller. So now as per the instruction from the controller, this absorbed data may be transferred to the computer having the post processing software. Now post processing software, that means this is the importing of the data as I have told in the last class. So after the data has been imported either from the receiver or from the controller, it will get processed and the processed data will be the output. So which is the location of the GPS control point. So this is in short how the user segment works. Now here you can see the a part of this is the GPS receiver hardware and a part of this is the GPS software. So that is what constitutes the user segment, and in future we will learn more about it. So with this I like to conclude today's class, but before I like to summarize about today's class. GPS is the full name is Navstar GPS. It is a radio navigation system which is available for the user to use all throughout the day and all days in a year, and at an instant of time we will be getting signal from at least 4 satellites, and it is a very efficient and economic system for finding out the position. Also it provides very good navigation as well as we can go for very precise estimation of time. GPS consists of 3 segments: the space segment, control segment and user segment. However, we as a user, it is the user segment which is most important, consisting of GPS receiver hardware and processing software. And the GPS receiver hardware consists of an antenna which receives signals from GPS satellites. It transfers the signal to the GPS receiver. From there it may go to the controller, and by using some software this data may be processed to get the position of control point in WGS84 coordinate system, which is a global reference system. So with this I like to conclude, and there is some review questions given to you which you should prepare after this going through these slides. And in the next class I am going to talk on GPS signal which we like to receive from GPS satellite vehicles. Thank you.